All right, my friends, what's up? Welcome back to Staying Strong for Marriages. So, I want to start by saying thank you so much for people who have prayed, who have contributed to, like the Charlene Steinkamp's ministry, or people that have, gone online and talked about like this book, David Pawson's book, right? Almost finished reading that for the first time. You guys have been a big help. You guys have come before me. I continue to meet people, and I just really love what we're doing. I think that the more that I look at the ideas from Jesus, we should not call them ideas because they're commands, related to marriage being for life. It's become more of a joy and less of a burden. It used to feel very harsh and some sort of prison, you could say. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's not always so easy. But I've also begun to love it a lot. So I want to say thank you so much. Again, Samuel comes to mind, and Jenkins, these other folks. I'm just excited because I think that I realized it took me 10 years to sort of come to terms with these things. And as hard as that road has been, I was just thanking God last night. I said, God, thank you. Thank you so much, God. I believe some weird things that I'm just going to encapsulate under Calvinism. And they really sort of left me kind of weak in some ways for many, many years, and confused also, where it's like, am I supposed to care about these sins, or am I not really supposed to strive in my, flesh? Or I remember my wife and I, she was a church kid. So she was a church kid, and she grew up a lot in this community where, it was a lot about wearing masks, she would say. And we read this book called The Cure, as by these three authors, and it was a lot about taking off the mask, stop trying so hard to be good, go and let God minister to you and be gracious to you and things like this. And then from that house, it was this kind of cool story, but it was kind of like there's this path in the woods, and one departed. One was like the house of like trying harder, which always ended up being like mask wearing and embarrassment and failures and striving but not achieving like holiness. And in this book, like the person went there first, and then they realized that everyone was like really fraudulent and fake and not honest and not transparent. So that person left, and then went to the house of grace. And I don't know what that book was supposed to say exactly. I can only say what it meant to me at that time. And what it meant to me at that time was like something like, don't try that hard, which was very unhelpful to me. In the sense of, I would have never thought that it was reasonable to like put to death the sins of the body by the Spirit. And if you do so, you'll live, and if you don't, you'll die. We hear that from Paul, I think, in one of the letters to the Corinthians. Like that wasn't part of my world. And so I kind of went over into this like Calvinism, like Baptist non-denominational thing for a while, and it wasn't very helpful. I don't know. What I'm loving about today is like, man, it is a little bit hard to carry the cross and sort of feel sort of almost persecuted by systems of thought that have taken hold. And so one of the things I guess I'm thinking about is David. This is probably going to be my go-to book if I give it to somebody. I'll probably use the verse rain thing that Samuel put together if I want to share something with somebody digitally. But I think David, he talks about how things kind of changed from the early church fathers to like Augustus. Yeah, it's weird because Augustus came up with the soteriology guy, Leighton Flowers, as he's talking about Calvinism and what they are part of is called provisionism or provisionists. They're provisionists. I don't really know what that means, so I'm still kind of watching a lot of their videos as I'm traveling. By the way, welcome back to where I am, but I'm in North Africa today, so it's really great. I'll talk about that in a second. But I just, I thought David talked about Augustine, and Augustine was this like Manichaeanism, this Gnostic guy, as far as his philosophical training. And so apparently, like, even though he's like Saint Augustine, right? And we have Saint Augustine's Confessions, Augustine. I think it's the same. I could be wrong, but anyways, all I'm really trying to say is that I'm hearing from people that are looking at what's going on with our faith that there's some things that came up in like the 4th century that really pushed us all in a certain direction. And if we don't study hard and we don't sort of like come to understand these things, we're always going to probably be pretty confused, especially if we go to a church where it's like this is, we're over here this week, and then next week we're over in this book, and then it's like Father's Day, so we're talking about, I don't know, like faithfulness, and then it's Mother's Day, and we're talking about love, and then, you know, like, then who knows what, and then like Christmas or something, right? Where you don't really get like very much theological training. I think the cool thing of standing is that you go through all of that stuff. You have the time. My last video was like basically take the win that you have as an opportunity for the time that God has given you while your spouse is doing, you know, you probably don't even know what they're doing, or maybe you do and you don't even want to think about it. But you have this time. What are you going to do with it? And it's like you can take advantage of it. I think I'm feeling very grateful to just think of, you know, despite things being hard, really believing in my life choices at this point, you know, to really feel not regretful about some things in the past, definitely sad about how things are currently, supposing maybe, you know, fighting, praying for you guys, you know, I'm praying for people like, you know, Amy, Kimberly, Michelle, just these, Miriam, just these friends of my, like these wives of my friends that I just think of that are like, man, God, please like rescue them. I've actually enjoyed like the real sense of just not being confused and being like, it does matter how we live. In a real way, it matters to God. So if we live lives of sin, we're going to have to pay the price. It's going to negatively affect the people in our lives that we care about. And it matters to God. As opposed to the idea that I carried, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, which was like, all my sins were washed away. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, by the blood of the Lamb. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Filled with the Holy Ghost I am. All my sins are washed away. Been redeemed. It's a song I learned as a kid, right? Maybe that song and a bunch of other things gave me this idea that no matter what I do, however wickedly I live, that God will love me the same no matter what. That's a really confusing way to try to go through life, because it's totally disconnected from the effects of sin. And I've appreciated David. I talked to you guys, I've been in the Middle East previously, right after, a couple years after my wife left, I went to do a graduate program in the Middle East. And I was trying to, you know, put my life back together financially and come up with a plan and all these things. Walk forward in what I believe was my calling, or some of the things I cared about, and where I felt like I had some giftings in. And it was the first time that I came across David Pawson. And I remember him talking about the sermon, Believers in Hell. And I was just, I couldn't put it all together, you know? I knew it took years. And then finally you put it together and you're like, okay, this is awesome. This is great. Like, how I live matters to God. It matters to me. It's going to affect other people. So God, like, you can really pray wholeheartedly. God, help me run my race all the days of my life, no matter what challenges, difficulties, sickness, poverty, persecutions I face. God, help me to continue to follow you no matter what. No matter what, Lord, the right thing to do is always to follow you and to take seriously the parts about forgiving people. And I'm really having to pray hard for that, because there's certain organizations that I felt like have, I don't want to say like destroyed our marriage, but certain people within certain institutions. I mean, it's like I hate definitely what they've done to my wife. You know, I've hated the some of the dreams and some of the things that we've lost, some of the years. The last thing I'll say is what's so cool. I think underneath those bad feelings that we try to like deal with, right, is really we love people, right? If we didn't love them, we would not care at all. We'd be either apathetic, which is no great virtue, apathy over evil or anything like that, or even worse, we could say like, oh, you know, I just wish like they have an awful life or some bad thing happens to them. That's not really any good either. And so it's beautiful, I think, on the days where it's like, God, I I'm upset about this or that. You know how you guys are. You know, I'm upset about this thing or that thing, or this person or this situation, or these guys lied to us, or these counselors, or these deceiving spirits. At least you can say like, yeah, but I mean, the reason you're all upset anyway is because you actually love people. You know, you actually love people that are important to you, even when they're hurting you, and God is like helping you to pray and say, God, like the story of the man that was healed. He was healed. He went to the synagogue. They said like, shouldn't heal the guy on the Sabbath. Jesus says whatever. I should tell it better than that, but that's kind of as good as I'm going to do. And then he kind of slipped away. The guy didn't know who he was, but he told the story. And then later Jesus finds him later in the synagogue, and he's like, look, it's like, stop living this life of sin or something worse could happen to you. And I think the big driving thing for me about someone asking me like, why are you upset or why are you angry? It's like, I'm concerned. Someone I care about is in great danger. And I'm doing this ministry to try to, maybe I can't help the person I want to, but maybe I can help the person next to me or the community that I'm involved in, and try to say, hey, there's these David Pawson books, there's these other books. Maybe when your kids, get into their second year of marriage, congratulations, they just got married. Maybe in their second year of marriage, they're going to need to know something. Maybe they're going to lose a child, or there's going to be a car wreck, or there's going to be a cancer diagnosis, or there's going to be who knows what, right? And as their father or mother, you need to be able to step in and say, this is the will of God, that you love your spouse, and you become a forgiving person, and you become long-suffering, and you become patient. Patience. That was one of the worst things for me. I was not patient. I was really, really not patient. I got super jammed up on, I'm trying to change things. I was worried about the future. I just wasn't patient. I just was not patient. So I'll talk more about some of my sort of failures as a husband maybe in the future. And there were definitely those. But I think I just want to be encouraging to you guys that if you're struggling, it's probably because you love. And that's good. But there are people out there online, other places, that God will bring you people to help you. Again, thank you for everyone that's helped me along the way. And I'm pumped. I am. I'm very, very, very excited, hopeful, And even if it doesn't work out, it just feels good, to be what I feel like is on the right path. So wherever that path leads, I do not know. But I feel like it's already bearing fruit right now. And, okay, last thing. So in North Africa, like I said, I made these videos a long time ago about don't waste 10 years of your life. Recently I made this video like go and try to take the opportunities that you have with the extra time and go get the professional certification if that's what you want to do, and you can get a house and kind of set your family up long term financially. Or if you want to go spend time with your parents who are aging, go love on them, go minister to them. If you have some desires to do some sort of ministry, you can do it, you have the time. There was so I went to this place. We got bottled water, like cafe crema, you can call it whatever you want, cappuccino, and this like little fruit tart for I gave him like a 25% tip, and the whole thing ended up costing $3. Yeah, $3 and $3.25, $3.50. It's like crazy. And so like there's a lot of opportunities, sometimes you got to go and do some exploring and looking to see maybe the doors that God might open for you. That's what I'm doing here, and it's good. I've been studied some Arabic and needs a lot of work. But I just want to encourage you guys that there are a lot of opportunities to continue to learn and pray and love, even if it's messy, even if it's tough, to realize, I do actually care. I do actually love somebody who's hurt me. I actually believe in somebody who maybe doesn't believe in themselves right now. I do actually have grace and forgiveness for like someone who may not be able to receive the forgiveness. But at least you can be in that spot. And where did that come from for me? That came from really looking at the character of God. I mean, Jeremiah 3 comes right to the front of my mind. Hosea comes to my mind. Some of the different prophets. But just like the ability of God to wait patiently on people and hold out his hands and call them home and say, like, you have this opportunity, I'm not going to give up on you. Even Judas Iscariot, right? Up until the very last dinner together. It's like, he was right there. He was invited, So I think that is something to feel good about. 18 minutes. Thanks. Talk to you later.